Well, this video is a little bit different than what I usually do. Although I have done some food related videos. I've done one about how I personally make barbecue pork, but this one is about Mexican cornbread, as you can surmise by the title. I've got all our ingredients laid out here. I've got the recipe pulled up. The recipe I will put down in the description below, but we'll talk about it. I will list it along the side here as we go along. So first off, we've got 1.5 cups of self-rising cornmeal. I like this White Lily buttermilk cornmeal. And we've got 1/2 cup of just self-rising flour. The original recipe I got called for 1 cup of each, but I increased the cornmeal just because after trial and error, I found that I liked it better that way. So we've already got that in the bowl here. And our next ingredient, 1 egg. And before we go too much farther, heat the oven to 375. Got my cast iron skillet in there already heating. Now we're going to add 2 cups of sharp cheddar. If you're unfamiliar with this, it comes in the 8-ounce bag. I like the sharp cheddar. You can use mild if you want. Next, depending on how spicy you like it, I tend to like it very spicy, but the others in my family do not, so we go a little bit easier on the diced jalapeños. I usually put about a spoonful like that, about another spoonful. If you get some juice in there, that's okay. It's all good. It makes it even better. And now we add 1 tablespoon of sugar. I have rarely ever measured that out, so we just kind of, it looks about like 1 tablespoon there. And finally we add buttermilk, just until it reaches the right consistency. And you'll see the right consistency here in a minute. I usually like to use whole buttermilk, but this reduced fat stuff is all I could find. It doesn't make a huge difference, but I found the whole buttermilk just makes it a little bit better. And just blend everything together until it reaches a good consistency. Now, once it reaches a consistency that looks about like this, you're ready to put it in the skillet. Now, the lady I originally got this recipe from, she could be Paula Deen's sister, because her original recipe calls for 1 entire whole stick of butter. And because this is already not exactly healthy enough, I usually just go with 1/2 stick in the skillet. I mean, we're not trying to have a heart attack here. Now this skillet is properly heated. We'll put our 1/2 stick of butter in there, let it melt, and then we'll pour this goodness in. A lot of times I will put this back in the oven for just a few minutes, let that butter melt, and then we'll come back to it and pour the batter. And did I mention that it's getting fall season here in Tennessee, cold weather, so that means time for soup. Although this is technically chili. It's one thing I've never quite fully understood. Is soup chili, or is it just chili? Answer below if you know the answer. Alright, now that we got the butter all nice and melted, kind of swirl it around there, get some up on the sides. You want to use a good seasoned cast iron skillet, and then just pour it in. And you usually like to swirl it around just a little bit, get some of that melted butter spread around on the top there. You'll see later on why this is important. I have never had anyone not enjoy my jalapeno cornbread. So we will put this bad boy in the oven here, and I don't think it's ever cooked at a consistent time. I usually always start at about 45 minutes just to see where it is from there. Beyond that, I may add 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, however it takes to get done. So we'll see you in a minute. Let's take a look at how the cornbread is doing. Not much longer. Oh yes, I think. Oh yeah, it is done. Now we're gonna let this sit here and cool for just a few minutes, so when we flip it over in this here plate, it does not stick on the bottom. You're definitely gonna want to stick around for that. I'll go ahead and warn you, it may not come out cleanly from this pan, but that is not entirely a bad thing, as you will see. Okay, so as you can see here, we are missing a little bit of the outer crust still in the pan. But once this cools just a bit more, I can scrape that off. Oh, this is the ultimate prize right here. Okay, with just a tiny minimal amount of scraping that came off of that pan, we'll throw it right there. This is the good stuff. This is the equivalent of burnt ends on barbecue. Now, part of the reason it did this, I could have probably left it in the oven for maybe 5 to 10 more minutes, but this cast iron skillet, although it looks pretty well seasoned, the bottom here could stand to be just a little bit more seasoned, but we're working on that. The more we cook on it, the better it gets. So this outer skin right here, that's good stuff.